today's video we're just going to have a very brief look through the typical flight modes that you would use on a high performance thermal model. Some of them are quite easily applicable across to a 6 servo wing slope model, and you just also may pick up some little hints that might help you in your trimming in general and what you're trying to get out of your model for a specific task or job or flying style that you may have. So we'll have a look at. Okay, so this is one of my super models. At the moment it's currently in its cruise or pretty much normal configuration. I use 4 flight modes, sometimes 5. I generally keep things pretty simple. I use cruise, landing, launch, speed and thermal sometimes. Okay, so in this cruise configuration everything's pretty much neutral. This is how the model flies in normal flight, just heading off looking for a thermal. Okay, in the launch mode obviously I have camber on the ailerons and the flaps right through the whole wing, and a little bit of elevator trim to give me the best launch. The other thing to notice here is that the ailerons only go up. Okay, there's no more down going aileron in the launch mix, so I'm called that 100% differential. You don't want any more down going aileron if you happen to give aileron in the launch. Ideally you should be steering the launch with rudder anyway, but just on the off chance. The other thing is I've mixed a lot of rudder throw to the ailerons. Just if I accidentally hit the aileron rather than the rudder for correction, I'll get a lot more rudder throw than normal. Okay, so we're coming out of launch, back into neutral. Okay, I tend to fly my models with quite a lot of throw, as you'll see here on this aileron. If you can, hopefully you'll see it well enough. Okay. You notice the flaps following, so that the roll of the wing is a lot more efficient. The whole wing is working all the control surfaces for roll, and we've got a little bit of differential in. Okay, there's more upgoing throw than down, as per standard. About not quite twice as much up as down. I'm starting to use less and less differential, but that'll be the subject of another video later on. Okay, so then we switch into speed mode, or the reflex for the zoom of the launch. Okay, the entire trailing edge moves up slightly. One of the other things that happens in that mode is I now have no rudder mixing. Okay, this is purely for a nice axial roll. Not so much on these models, but in the F3B models certainly. You just want to get your speed mode. You just want to have a pure roll when you move the aileron stick. You don't want to actually have a turn at all. A little bit less differential. Okay, and the actual amount of following of the flaps is a little bit less aileron throw, and obviously the rudder switches out. Okay, then I have an actual flight mode for landing. Okay, so when I touch full pro, there's a few things going on. My ailerons don't go up very much, which allows me to still have plenty of aileron throw. And I still have my rudder coupled for tuning as well. Obviously the flaps go down, the elevator goes down for compensation, so that I get a nice smooth approach. That's full pro there. You can see that's pretty effective at stopping the model. So coming out of crow, the other thing that I switch off is, you see the flaps are no longer working. Okay, and that's just a personal preference. I'll just work it that way. Okay, and then I have a thermal mode. What happens there is I've got a lot less aileron throw, and I've got a lot more rudder throw. This model has a lot of dihedral. It can fly pretty much rudder only, and so in the thermal mode, by mixing a lot more rudder throw to my aileron, I effectively get that, but I still have the aileron control as well. And that's that. In my radio, the elevator is fully independent flight modes for the trim. Each flight mode has its own elevator trim. Obviously for camber and for launch you want everything to be exactly the same each time and not affected by anything else you do with that trim. And that's pretty much it. Sounds complicated, but compared to a lot of people's setups, I actually keep it pretty simple. I've asked people on the net for information on model setups in the past, and you get some very detailed, very specific, down to the half millimetre of this and percentage of that. Really just keep it simple, do what works for you, and you'll get the best performance for you and the model. Okay, I just thought I'd give you a nice close-up, detailed look of the wing servos and their movements. Okay, so this is the cruise position, and that's the Pro that I have. Yeah, so we're going to the launch, and everything drops down there. You'll notice, I think you can see there, the ailerons don't go down quite as much as the flaps, and that's purely to allow for a little bit of blowback on the flaps. Just with the geometry of the linkage, they should blow back up, so that they will eventually line up. Okay, so we're back into neutral or cruise, and go through into speed. It's a fairly small movement on this model. Okay, it's about 2 millimeters, which is all this model needs for this airfoil. Everything's lined up, and just like that. Okay, so I still have all that throw if needed, and back into cruise. Okay, over here on the thermal switch. Okay, a little bit less movement, and in fact I'll switch back into normal. Okay, you can see the difference. And here's my landing crow. Okay, there's a lot of flat movement there. I can get more than that, but that's somewhere near 80 something degrees. It's plenty. Okay, and I thought I'd also just give you a brief look at the elevator movements and the differences between the flight modes. Okay, there's my up and down throw. I do have a lot. That's the way I like it. Okay, here's my launch preset. You'll notice I had a little bit of down elevator there. The toe hook position on this model is probably a little aggressive, and so I've actually got a bit of down trim to stop an over rotation on the launch. Okay, and back into neutral. Okay, and through into the speed. Okay, that's just a minor down correction there for the speed. Okay, and we're going into the thermal mode, and hardly any difference there, which as it should be. There's effectively no difference in trim. All I'm really doing is changing my control response across the wing and the rudder coupling. Okay, and then the compensation in the elevator for crow. Okay, so that's about half crow there. Okay, not much. And then we get into that, noting that I've still got quite a lot of throw left over for stabbing the model down into the spot as is required for F3J. Okay, so I hope that there was something in there for all of you, for your style of flying, for your, whether you're into slope, thermal, hand launch, combat foamies, whatever. Have fun, and we'll see you next time.